A low-ranking soccer goalie gets handed a crazy mission: blow through $1 billion in just 30 days. If he pulls it off, he pockets a cool $30 billion. But here's the kicker: he can't spill the beans to anyone, and by the end of it, he can't own anything valuable. Stick around until the end to witness a great moral life versus money dilemma. Welcome to your daily dose of movie pill. Today, we'll be looking at a 2018 comedy titled Hello, Mr. Billionaire. Spoilers ahead, buckle up, and let's dive right in. Duo Won, a 37-year-old goalie for the minor league soccer team Daehyung, hasn't had the smoothest ride in his career. He's been in the headlines for all the wrong reasons: biting opponents, pretending to be a woman to play on the female team, being a human sushi plate, and posing naked for painters. So when Mr. Jin invites him for lunch, Duo thinks it's his shot at joining a better team. But nope, Mr. Jin wants to pay him to throw the next match. Not cool. Duo turns down the offer, saying he's not into cheating and he won't let the other team score even once. On game day, Duo lets his ego get the best of him. He slacks off after making just one save, allowing the other team to score 5 goals against him. To rub salt in his wound, the opposing players lift him up in celebration for his lousy performance. After getting booted from the team, a downbeat Duo mopes around his apartment, refusing to budge. But his buddy and teammate Kyung-jong swings by, dragging him out for a heart-to-heart with the coach, promising to get his gig back. Unfortunately, things don't pan out as hoped. The coach shows zero interest in rehiring Duo, claiming even a dog could do a better job. When Kyung-jong threatens to bail unless Duo gets back on the team, the coach just laughs it off and lets him go. He figures losing both of them at once is a win for the team. On their way home, they hit a red light, and some scammers pretend they hit them. When he won't fess up to his act, Duo and Kyung-jong grab him, shove him against the car a few times, and even use him to clean the car window. Suddenly, a young woman named Jia appears out of nowhere and calls them out as bullies. She starts recording everything on her phone and gathers more people to witness the scene, not buying the racketeer's excuse. This lands Duo and Kyung-shon in jail. Mr. Jin steps in to pay for their bail, but it turns out he's not really into soccer. Their previous meeting was just a test. He brings them to his office and introduces Duo to Mr. Yin and Mr. Lai from Guangming Trust Fund, asking Kyung-jong to wait outside. So here's the scoop: Duo's granduncle, who had beef with the family and vanished, actually bit the dust just last month. And guess what? Duo's the one set to inherit his fortune. But there's a catch. To get the cash, he has to pass a test his granduncle left in a video before he kicked the bucket. Here's the challenge: Duo has to blow through 2 billion won in 1 month. If he pulls it off, he pockets a cool 30 billion won. But there are rules. He's gotta spend it legally, have a bit left at the end of the month, can't donate or receive gifts, and it's all gotta be splurged on himself. Oh, and he can hire up to 100 people, but he's gotta use whatever services they offer. No ifs, ands, or buts. Plus, he can't trash anything valuable he buys, overbid, or spill the beans to anyone about the game. Now, if Duo gets cold feet, there's a backup plan. He can bail with 10 million won, and the rest stays in the trust fund. Or he can man up and take the challenge. But if he loses, he's out of luck. So after grabbing some wheels, Duo swings by his old soccer crew to drop a bombshell. He's planning to rent them and a team from the big leagues, Hang Tai, to duke it out in the future once he's done sprucing up the stadium. But the team thinks he's just yanking their chain about being loaded now and have a good laugh at his expense. To prove them wrong, Duo calls in an excavator and has it dump a pile of cash right in the middle of the soccer field. With the team on board, they all hop into their rides. But when they hit the road, it's just Duo and Jia. He tries to make a move on her, but she drops the bomb that she's already taken by a guy who's all about spreading good vibes, not cash. Talk about a buzzkill. They roll up to a swanky members-only hotel, but Duo works his magic and sweet-talks the manager into renting out the entire place for the month, courtesy of a fat stack of cash. The manager can't resist the money and leads them to a feast in the dining room to celebrate. And hey, it's all good under the rules since Duo can splash out on stuff for his crew, and he's technically renting the team now. During dinner, Duo springs a surprise. He's kicking off a new investment firm, and he's handing the CEO spot to Kyung-jong. Kyung's touched by the gesture, not realizing Duo picked him because he's not the sharpest tool in the shed. From then on, Duo goes wild with his spending. He drops a fortune on a haircut, rents out everything from clothes to cars. Jiaju's scratching her head because it'd just be cheaper to buy the stuff. She warns him he's burning through cash too fast, but he's not sweating it. Just then, Jiaju's boyfriend, Jian and Lu, pops in to whisk her off to his lecture. lecture on not being slaves to money. After saying no to a drink, Janin admits that his lecture isn't selling. Duoyu swoops in, buys out all the tickets for his crew, and suddenly Janin's all about capitalism. He even accepts the drink, though he's not much of a drinker, and offers to tend Duoyu's garden, which Duoyu gladly accepts. Feeling let down after realizing he's not the guy she thought he was, Jiaju calls it quits with him. Later on, Duoyu gathers his new investment crew for their first meeting. He tells them to throw money into dying industries that could go belly up any day. Right after that, some nutcase shows up pitching his crazy invention, a contraption that supposedly lets you swim on land. Duoyu coughs up some cash for that too, then asks if anyone else has a wild dream he can bankroll, no matter how out there. The next day, while Duoyu's getting a massage, the masseuse, Shasha, tries to get flirty with him and won't take no for an answer. Just as things are about to get awkward, Jiaju swoops in just in time to remind Duoyu about their meeting, saving him from a sticky situation. They all hit the golf course with Mr. Yin and Mr. Lai, where Duoyu's crew will be practicing. That's when Duoyu spots Sasha among them. Turns out, she's been hired by Yin and Lai to keep tabs on him and mess with his challenge. Duoyu suggests grabbing lunch together, but since the rules only let him cover his employees' expenses, he serves Yin and Lai instant ramen. Then one of them starts dropping quotes from some big shot businessman, Mr. Lafitte. So, Duoyu decides to drop a boatload of cash to bring Mr. Lafitte to China for lunch. With Jiaju translating, Duoyu straight up asks Lafitte about his worst investment blunders because he's keen on learning from screw-ups. But Lafitte takes it as a personal insult, storming off without even tasting the grub. Jiaju's mad at Duoyu's bluntness and storms off too. Duoyu trails her in his car, overhearing her spill about her rep as the jinx of the investment world. Every company she's touched is tanked, a tidbit conveniently missing from her resume, and one she thinks could cost her jobs. But Duoyu sees her differently. While others might call her a jinx, to him, she's his company's good luck charm. Duoyu keeps on with his extravagant spending, hiring servants for every little thing in his daily grind. But his mood nosedives when he learns all the investments he deliberately botched are raking in cash, stuffing even more money in his pockets. After booting out his crew, Duoyu loses it in the meeting room, cursing his rotten luck. Yin and Lai catch Duoyu's struggles on TV and have a good laugh about it. After a nightmare where he burns all his cash and meets his granddad, Duoyu gets woken up by Kyung-jong. Kyung's got a buddy he thinks might fit in with the team. When Duoyu sees the guy with his wonky eye and thrift store clothes, he hires him right then and there. Grateful as can be, Kyung-jong vows that they'll work their tails off, maybe even celebrate with fireworks someday, sparking an idea in Duoyu's head. Meanwhile, Jiaju's spending her birthday solo in her place with a small cake she grabbed for herself, until Janin unexpectedly shows up. After handing her flowers, he grabs her cake and starts chomping down without even asking. Then, he casually mentions he's got this book idea and hopes she can ask Duoyu for some cash. But before he can finish, Jiaju's had enough. She smashes the cake on his face and kicks him out, heading straight to Duoyu for business. But Duoyu's not interested in business talk tonight. He's got a surprise lined up. Thousands of fireworks lighting up the sky. When Jiaju mentions her birthday, Duoyu acts like this was his grand gift, even though he had no clue it was her special day. She's touched by this gesture, but she sets things straight. They can't be more than friends because they're from different worlds. Later, Jiaju's in for a shock when she spots posters plastered all over town, featuring her face. A desperate plea from Duoyu to give him a shot. Ads on TV and the radio are also asking for the same thing. This grabs the public's attention and they start following around, asking for selfies. She calls Duoyu to handle the problem, but instead of listening, he just invites her to a concert. Fed up, Jiaju hangs up on him and hops into a taxi, trying to hide her face. When the driver stops at a red light, the same traffic scammer from the other day pops up, pretending to be hurt again. This makes Jiaju realize Duoyu wasn't lying after all. Seeing him differently now, she heads over to the hotel and agrees to join Duoyu for the concert, curious to learn more about him. Turned out, the concert was a private gig at the hotel featuring her favorite singer. They danced, snapped some pics with the singer, and then Duoyu took Jiaju out for a nice dinner. Later, they spontaneously joined a soccer game with some local kids at the park and took a leisurely stroll along the river. Meanwhile, Yin and Lai reached out to Janin to help them mess with Duoyu's challenge. And back in Duoyu's world, he's stressed seeing his soccer team partying instead of training, while Kyung-jong drops the news of another billion made by the company. After giving his buddy a solid punch, Duoyu dives into the pool to chill out. While mulling over his experiences, a light bulb goes off in his head. With a thumbs up from Mr. Jin, he stages a special gig at the mall to unveil his latest brainwave, a wacky insurance deal for weight loss. Just $1 to get in, and you get paid for every gram you shed. It's a smash hit. Yin and Lai are fuming, but they can't touch him because, as Jin points out, it's all legal. Folks sign up in droves, hitting the gyms and even hopping on stairs in and land swimming machines. Duoyu wins a big humanitarian award, but when he explains that he's more about business than charity, nobody's buying it. On game day, the Hangtai team talks big about smashing goal records, and most of the crowd is on their side. Even though Daejeong has fewer fans, they make a flashy entrance in helicopters. The match kicks off, and Kwang Jeong pulls a stunt, faking an injury to get a star Hangtai player sent off, giving Daejeong the upper hand. Unfortunately, despite their efforts, during the first half, Hangtai racks up 8 goals while Daejeong can't even get 1. Duoyu figures they've got to avoid letting Hangtai hit double digits to salvage a bit of pride. So, in the second half, they pull out some crazy tactics, like forming a human circle around the opponent. But even that doesn't stop Hangtai from scoring the 9th goal. Then, Daejeong goes all out, cramming all their players in front of their goal, ready to block with anything they've got, even if it means taking one for the team. Meanwhile, in the stands, Jiaju catches up with Janin and confronts him about missing payments, which he's been doing on purpose to make it seem like Duoyu isn't spending as much. Fed up with her defending Duoyu, Janin spills the beans about the whole game, claiming Duoyu is just using her. Jiaju isn't having any of it and whacks him with her purse before storming out, determined to spill everything to Mr. Jin. Janin follows her, trailing into some sketchy parts of the neighborhood. Back in the game, the Dahyong crew is putting up a fierce defense, taking hits and bleeding for the cause. But their gutsy display wins over the crowd, who start rooting for the underdogs. Even their coach tries to jump in when they run short on subs, but he takes a tumble on a water bottle, sidelining himself. Fortunately, fueled by team spirit and fan support, they hold the line, keeping the opposition from scoring any more goals until the final whistle blows. When the game ends with Dahyong holding the Hangtai team at 0-9, the whole stadium explodes with cheers, as if Dahyong had just won the championship. During the celebration, Duoyu's phone rings, but it's not Jiaju on the line. It's some mysterious voices claiming that they've snatched his girlfriend and sending a creepy snapshot as proof. Thinking it's another plot by Yin and Lai, Duoyu gets some sketchy folks to squeeze out a confession, but all they spill is about hiring Janin to cook the books, nothing about the kidnapping. Duoyu gets a nerve-wracking call showing Janin being threatened on the edge of a building. The caller demands 10 million bucks by 6 or Jiaju gets it too. Now, Duoyu's stuck. Pay up and lose his grandpa's fortune, or defy the rules and save Jiaju. Little does he know, it's a test by his grandpa to see if he values life over money. But instead of rushing to the rescue, Duoyu hits the karaoke bar, leaving Jiaju in the lurch. At 6 o'clock, Mr. Jin and Jiaju are about to leave, feeling a bit down. But just as they're heading for the stairs, they spot Duoyu in tears, clutching his bags of cash, ready to trade them for Jiaju's safety. Mr. Jin praises him for passing the test and plays the grandfather's final message, which leaves Duoyu wondering why the old man never married or had kids despite being wealthy. Then Mr. Jin drops a bombshell. He was the grandfather's partner. Many months later, Duoyu and a very pregnant Jiaju return from their world adventures. They've had a blast and are now ready to give away all their money. However, they pause the paperwork when they realize they need to keep some for their upcoming baby. The couple starts jotting down what they need, starting with the basics, but soon their list grows with extravagant items, suggesting they might end up not donating after all. From crazy challenges to unexpected twists and turns, their story has been one heck of a ride. But now, as they prepare to embark on the next chapter of their lives with a baby on the way, it's clear that they've come a long way from where they started. I rate this movie a 7 out of 10. Comment down below what you would rate it. Looks like this movie pill is starting to wear off. But don't worry, there's always more where that came from. Tap here to keep the effects going with this next movie, because who can stop at just one? And while you're at it, don't forget to like and subscribe, because your next movie dose is just a click away.